Today, we're going to be sending 2 teams to the main stage, but unfortunately, 2 teams will be heading home as well. We're halfway through Phase 2 here at the Manchester Major of Blast R6. Welcome, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed the action yesterday because we have a lot more to come today. I'm Jeannie, joined on the desk this time around by Jesse, finally here, as well as Lax. It's like an NA bias desk.
My duo's back.
I made it, finally. And, you know, I'm good to be here, right?
Oh, sheesh.
I had no idea what was going on.
We just ain't duoing.
Your duo, right?
Okay, it's okay. We'll get in there. We'll get in the rhythm.
Right.
I think he was a little jealous that me and you shared the desk all day.
I
messed up.
No, I don't think. All right. Either way, let's have a look at the schedule for today then. Regardless, because today we have 2 BO1s and 2 BO3s happening across both the A and the B stream. Both of these, every single one of these games, realistically, the BO3s particularly, are the most important one because these determine who from the O2s go home and who from the 2Os go to the main stage.
Yeah, it's crazy we're already eliminating people. I mean, it's my first day here, and I'm going to be sending some people home. Oh, I hope not.
You know, some people like you for sending them to the main stage, or maybe not so much sending them home.
That's unlucky.
All right. Any game particularly that you're looking forward to that you think, yo, that cannot be real?
I mean, I'm excited to see what Furia can do. I know they're playing for promotion. We have a lot of unexpected teams, I think, in that 2-0 category right now. Yes, Bliss are up there. A lot of teams I think people didn't really expect. So to be able to see Furia coming through, if they pop off, you know, I mean, they're going to be another threat, as they always are. Yeah,
nothing changed there. It's been a year of Furia domination under the ban of W7M. Now it's a new one, but that's something that we're going to be looking forward to. But in terms of yesterday and the action that took place, if for some random reason you decided to miss all the 8 BO1s that we had across both streams, well, let's have a little bit of a recap in terms of what happened and what we can be expecting for today. That is what you missed, Jesse. And if any of you were at home yesterday and not watching, that's what you missed as well. You know what? Just drop the track, first of all. That's something that I want to know because that went hard.
That was super hard. I mean, the level of production for this event in general, I mean, it's just been outstanding, to say the least.
It's been super entertaining. 100%.
It has been. I mean, you know, I really like when people start shouting because we can hear everything. I don't know if our microphones pick it up, but we're pretty close to the players, and that's always a nice thing about these LAN events. But let's have a look at what happened yesterday, particularly in terms of the monster, the moment, and the must-see for today. A little bit of a recap. So, starting off with the moment, particularly, and staying on the theme of shouting and people really having that energy, Canadian.
Yeah.
I mean, I was here for it. I'll take the moment on this one. I mean, Troy, we all know Troy for his yelling, getting in people's faces, yelling at everyone, whether it's his team, whether it's the other team, whether it's coaches, whether it's even me on the desk. Troy likes to yell. That's what we know him for, and he really brings that camaraderie that we love to see in Siege, and really hypes up his team overall. They
camaraderie. I mean, either way. You weren't here. You were probably on a plane on your way here. Yeah. Yes. You know, specifically for you, we actually made sure to keep that moment and cherish it forever and replay it.
1v5!
Are you having a nightmare? Wake up! Wake up! It's a nightmare! Come on!
Still lost though.
Yeah.
So he had the nightmare, but you know what? It was fun.
Biggest dream, unfortunately.
I think that was the moment. They lost. Like that was the moment. All that yelling just led to a loss.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know what? You got to give it to him. He had the cojones to do it. You know, he's done it.
Actually, I think he went 1-9 or 1.
Yeah, he had a really bad game.
He also didn't do well either, but at least, you know, he still keeps that energy. He backs it up.
Exactly.
And you know what? A team member who benefited from that energy particularly was NJR. I mean, this is a player that has had a phenomenal run on the NAL with DZ since day one, and it looks like when we're talking about land jitters, that's not in his dictionary. It's not in his vocab.
No, NJR, undoubtedly one of the greatest players to ever come out of North America. We call him the Monster. We also call him the Mayor. He really does show up in a lot of these big
The Mayor
moments.
of NAL?
The Mayor of NA, the Mayor of Manchester, he's hoping to be. And this clip in particular, 1v5, this is the rarest thing that happens in Siege. We don't even get one of these most events. So for NJR to show up and be able to put this in for the game against Secret, super impressive stuff. And if it was gonna be anybody, it makes sense it was NJR because he's so reliable, he is so calm in these situations, and of course, so good with the TCSG.
You know what else came from this ace? A $50 donation to charity.
True.
From our one and only Fresh. So not only is it great to see, but it's also going towards a good cause.
Nah, they be paying analysts anything these days. That's crazy. Anyway, that was yesterday, and that's a beautiful recap of a beautiful day, day one of phase 2. But today, we are officially at the halfway mark. And as we've already highlighted, and we would like to hammer home, 2 teams are going to that main stage. 2 teams today are qualifying to play in front of a live crowd. However, unfortunately, 2 teams will end their dreams here, and they will have to go home. So the must-see for today, the game that we really think everybody needs to keep their eyes on, is going to be Team Liquid against SSG, because SSG come into this. Ooh, ITB. Oh, that's okay. We're gonna go to the lower bracket. Who's there? Oh, it's VDS. Oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. We still have one more shot. It's Liquid.
Yeah, there's a lot of clips from my co-stream watching phase 1 of me saying, guys, SSG makes top 8. I'm telling you now, Space Station Gaming, they're gonna be in the top 8. There's no worries. They have yet to win a game in Swiss.
I mean, the funny thing is we had this kind of like same situation at SI of talking about Liquid being frauds or flukes, and it comes a situation, here they are again. Are they going to meet expectations and push further, or are they about to get sent home? So I still want to like believe that Liquid has it in them, just like you want to believe that SSG has it in them. The unfortunate thing is one of them is going home. And
M80 going up against ITB. It's the first BO1 of today, and both of these teams are currently sitting at 1-1. They're not sitting towards the top of the table, but they're sitting pretty nicely in that middle section. ITB particularly being a team coming out of the EUL that had a lot of expectations on their shoulders, maybe not necessarily from the fact that they have been doing so well regionally, but more like what can this team do on LAN?
Especially as the hometown heroes. Out of 4 to 5 players being from our nation, the UK here, I mean, we have this team. They're going to be crowd favorites if they can make it to that main stage. So it's obviously super important for them to make it all the way to the top 8. And I gotta say, I was sleeping on this team a little bit when they came in because I wasn't working the EUL. I didn't really get to see these guys. A lot of names that I haven't really seen play internationally before. A lot of rookies on this team, but they really impressed me. That first game against SSG yesterday, they started off a little over-aggressive. They started off by throwing a couple of rounds, but they dialed that in, and they really were able to adapt to the circumstances, come back and win that game against Space Station. So I was really impressed with ITB from what I was able to see yesterday. I'm really excited to see what they do today against M80.
And it's M80 that they're going to be going up against, a team that has done well regionally, internationally in the past, maybe not necessarily hit the mark that we were expecting from them. But Lox, when we're looking at the changes, it feels like to an extent, some of these missing puzzle pieces have been found.
Yes, I mean, me and Jesse have touched up on M80 quite a bit throughout past seasons and to this season specifically, where this team looks well put
they have
together.
a Stitch.
This team overall looks well put together in terms of now the roles than what they had previously. So I do expect a better run going into this internationally. They performed extremely well in the regional league qualifying here, now playing in phase 2. They obviously come off of a win versus Liquid, then falling short to Bliss. And it comes down to key players to me. We talked about Kino a lot. He started to perform a little better. We were seeing that resurgence. But so far, Kino has not been performing. So going into this game, and it is a 1-1, there's still some lifelines left. I need to see Kino improving, and even Spoit. Spoit isn't playing bad by any means, but we aren't seeing those flashy plays from him that really bail M80 out of some situations.
Yeah, for M80, obviously they're high expectations. Last year wasn't great. We don't got to dive too much into it. They come in with a brand new roster. They win their first game. They are still 1-1 though coming through, and this is a team that you expect making top 8, one of the best teams in North America, so we need to see big stuff from them today.
Oh, I feel like you just cursed them because you said that about SSG. You're now saying it about M80. Oh no, what are we doing? But when we're looking at this game particularly, and when we're looking at the fact that some of these phenomenal players are in this matchup here, ITB against M80, and you know, we're in the UK, and we have a king over here.
We do, Ginny. We've got 2 of the best players in England, which makes this the battle to be the king of England. First of all, there's Creeds, the young rookie in his very first stage, coming out of the EUL, had 143 kills, the second most out of anybody in the European League, been playing Dokkaebi as Zombie, playing fantastic. He's up against Citizen today, another one of the best English players we've ever had in Rainbow Six, also putting up ridiculous numbers, playing the Dokkaebi as Zombie, very similar roles. So they're battling to be the king of England, and of course I had to compare them to the reigning champ, King Charles III. Obviously, we couldn't really grab all his stats. We did look into it. We also invited him to Media Day. He didn't show up.
I wonder why.
There.
On par.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but you know what? We still were able to dig up some information on him, playing a lot of that Clash. I know not the community's favorite operator, but King Charles, I mean, he's a little bit older up there. He does. One of the best, better Clash mains I've seen.
Looking at this matchup particularly of both of these players here, Lax, in terms of the roles and the value that they bring to the team, what's the importance of their individual performances going to be?
Well, let me talk about Citizen specifically here.
Absolutely.
That's who I cover the most. I mean, Citizen just brings such diverse gameplay and the dynamics that he plays, that he puts himself in scenarios where he can win 1v2s, he can win 1v3s. He just reads situations so well, and that's truly what sets M80 up for success, because he can put himself into positions that other players simply can't, and he can walk away with those rounds. He can walk away with a man advantage, which ultimately sets M80 up for success throughout the rest of those rounds.
I think the biggest thing for Citizen too is his ability to step up in the big games, right? He did struggle a little bit at the start of the NA season, if you remember all the way back, but when we got to playoffs, he was their best player. He really stepped up when they got into the BO3s, when the going really got tough. Obviously, him and Spoit have been kind of the duo to really put the kills on the board for M80, so it's nice that even when Spoit maybe slows down a little bit, you got a guy like Citizen who can step up and be that key player.
Smells a little bit like NA bias, but you know what? I could be completely wrong, but one really important factor that will always play in these BO1s is going to be that map pick. You get a one shot at making it count. You need to hit the ground running, and we're going to Oregon. I think this is something that we hammer home every single time this map pick comes up, and that is the fact that literally everybody can play this.
Oregon, it's the default. I have to keep saying it. Yeah. It's just the default map. This really, again, this is going to come down to a lot more communication. The basic fundamentals of Siege are really applied on a map like Oregon. Again, you're not going to do anything that's going to surprise the other team, but the biggest takeaway from this is you can work better than the other team. You can force teams, maybe get them a little overzealous, force them out of position, and that's really what's going to set you apart from the other team.
Will we also say potentially here, Jesse, that Oregon is a map that's being picked because it's so heavily reliant on fundamentals, nobody wants to give anything away?
Yeah, I think it's a map that, you know, when you're going to these really important games, you can really rely on your teammates. You can rely on everybody gonna not be making too many mistakes. Obviously, both these teams very experienced in Oregon as well. For M80, 2 plays this year, a 14-round win over Sonics, and then an 8-round loss to Beast Coast. Those are not the greatest of records, right?
No.
Sonics, poor stage overall this year, and then obviously Beast Coast, only 8 rounds, 7-1 L there that they ended up taking. So this is a map that they're looking for a little bit of redemption on. For ITB, it's less common. Their only Oregon play this season came against G2, but it was in the EUL quarterfinals. They won 7-4. That knocked G2 out of the European qualifiers and sent them to the LCQ specifically. So obviously a big map from both these squads, but I'm looking for a bounce back from M80 because historically this has not been their best battleground.
All right, something to look forward to. I mean, we have the in-depth analysis of the NA analysts, but maybe we can bring in some EU experts to give us a little bit more spice when it comes to ITB particularly and their performances here on Oregon. We have our casters, Ace and Des, matching, looking absolutely dashing, the both of you.
Thank you very much, Ginny. I tell you what, I was sat here listening to that desk and I was like, that's a bit too NA favoured for me. There's too many analysts there.
We need some EU.
And you were a neutral in the middle ground, but I really want to think you with us here, Ginny. You're an honorary Brit, so you can come join us for this one, because ITB are clearly winning this one. See you later, guys. No talking NA. But no, this will be a great game. I'm really looking forward to this. As Jesse mentioned, they played this against G2 in the playoffs, right? But it did come down to that third map pick, or the final one in a best of 3. It's not like they chose to go there. They've hidden it away. It's one of the lowest preference maps. I honestly think Kangaroo Kenny's got that frying pan out. He has been cooking something this morning. I'm ready.
All right, well, I'm going to let the two of you cook as well, so feel free to take it all away.
Shall do. Thank you very much, Ginny. Tim, I'll let you talk finally. I've talked too much.
I'm going to say there is no way. Obviously, when we look at low preference maps, it's do you not play it because you don't like it, or do you not play it because you're hiding it? I am going to say unequivocally now, there is no doubt in my mind ITB can play Oregon. 100%. And they have brought this map to play.
Well, it goes one of two ways, because that last map they could have chose to go to was either Labs or Oregon, right? And they are a Labs team. They really like Labs. They, of course, played it yesterday, but equally so did M80, and they're not normally a team to bring that out. So I don't know if maybe the guys have looked at it and thought, okay, they played Labs yesterday. They're relatively comfortable there. They beat Liquid there. Let's instead dodge that and go to Oregon instead. But the only reason I think you would make that choice as ITB is, as said, you have got something to cook. But here we go. First ban comes on through. The Deimos taken away by M80.
Yeah, we've seen an increasing popularity for Deimos. Of course, Doki, explained a lot about the value of the operator when we had him on with us yesterday during that consulate game. So powerful towards the ends of rounds. We've seen a lot of clutches here in Manchester so far. We've seen a lot of big finishes to rounds, and Deimos is one of those operators that can really, destroy the chance of a 1v3, for example, because you're then just getting constantly pinged. So, yeah, we see the Deimos taken away. Not too much of a surprise. Monty and his army go as well, along with Fenrir.
I think ITV will be really happy about seeing the Deimos ban being brought against it, though, because they banned that operator against G2. They don't want to play it themselves. They don't want to see the opponents playing it. So they're like, oh, that's a wasted ban.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And the Monty comes in as no surprise. Shield's very, very strong right now. I think the last two bans are very expected as well in the Azami and Fenrir, but the Azami I find really interesting for a couple of reasons. We've seen a number of teams bringing lots of DMRs, Twitch and Lion especially being really popular right now, to come in and blast those keeper barriers away. Other guns take quite a while, as we know, to chew through those barriers, but DMRs, they make short work of them. So I'm not so much saying that you don't have to ban the Azami, but I feel like it's a weaker ban that you can make when teams do manage to go around that. However, if you're looking at that and saying, well, okay then, well, we don't want them to play it because we don't want to have many DMRs in our lineups, then there's fair reason to ban it away. So that's what I wager you'll see out of ITB. You won't get a lot of Lion, you won't get a lot of Twitch on this map, and that's probably why we've seen it come through. However, as you might well expect, we're starting downstairs in the basement. M80 going to really lock things up down there, Tim. I'm looking at that lineup, and it just screams turtle defense down here in the basement, as we are so used to seeing.
Yeah, you got the warding, you got the Goyo canisters, you got the mirror windows to play behind. Noodle on the Wamai, just trying to keep everybody safe. As you said, I don't think we'll see too much of a presence out in the map. We may be surprised, but Noodle on the Wamai at the minute, actually just roaming around, but heading back for rear stage stairs. So I've just noticed Spite have a little run upstairs on the Goyo, though.
I like the approach they've got coming out here on ITB side as well. Normally you'd see Hibana for this site, right? There's a lot of hatches you've got to get yourself opened up. She's not banned away. You'd assume she'd get picked all the time. Not in the case of ITB. They've really laned into the executes itself with the Ying, with the Grim on side, and of course the prep work coming out of Noah, and relying instead on those tin openers. You've got at least 2 here if you lose one of those operators early on. You can get rid of most of the key hatches that you need opened up, though one would stay closed. Hopefully you retain all 4 though, and you can open up the hatch inside of security, inside a lobby, and inside of meeting.
Noodle getting a little bit lucky there. Asa, almost getting even more lucky. Just literally sprayed through the barricade to open it, and a little tip for you to take away. That's why you open barricades with bullets wherever you can, because you never know what's on the other side of it. And Noodle taking a little bit of damage, a little bit higher. Headshot, you never know. It does happen. And Noodle, of course, then not really the end of the world. Knew somebody was going to potentially push from rear stage, but I think Asa picked up on the hit marker as well that he will have had. So then just dipped away and looked to approach from the other side.
Oh, well, if they've got someone waiting out here inside of dining as well, this could be a catch by the looks of it. Who's it nearby? It's Kenny, and Spoit, I think, surely must be found out at this point. They know that he hasn't opened up the rotate in towards Attic. They know that he should be dead to rights, but it's Spoit you're coming up against, and the man's a bit of a demon. Making use of a Candela. In they go, and they find the man. So I'd say overall, not a bad roam at all from Spoit. Obviously, the gadgetry's already down. He's got rid of the Flores. Maybe there was a better operator to kill, but you'll take it.
Honestly, Flores is not a bad one because we saw the setup. They've got the deployable shield looking in towards bunker from Shaiko spot. You're going to have your Warden playing around there, I would imagine. So there is utility down there on site. You can see it top right of your screen there. There is utility down there. You've got the Goyo canisters that you might want the Flores drones to go in and take out. There's a lot of work that Flores could have done.
The one thing you miss from not having a Habana here is you can't open up Shaiko wall, right? A very common spot where players will sit. Kino normally will step across here and play on the doorway, but with this being fully locked off and reinforced away, with no ranged removal in this case, or hard breach, that's going to stay closed up, so that's actually a very safe spot to play. So ITB have now got to think about, okay, how are we going to make this work? Can we make use of Grim? Will Ying be able to help us out here? Maybe, but you've got to watch out for Cameraman on the ward, and he's designed to help counter against this Ying, and I think he could be perfectly placed to do so here on Elbow.
Yep, smart work there as well, just taking out that Vulcan canister as the bees come in, because that's your signal really that this is where the push could be coming from. Cameraman just going to hold his position for the time being. Candela, we hear it going off, but it's not going to matter to him, of course, as he gets those glasses activated. ITB here are getting themselves set for the push, but I don't think they've got everything that they need here, Des. They've got 14 seconds to go, and all they can do really is start pushing forward, and it falls apart as they do. Oscar manages to find one, but that will be all. Really nice defense from M80, and it all started with that opening pick from Spoit up on the top floor, taking down the Flores. As you said, yeah, other operators would have been good too, but it really worked in their favor.
I didn't quite catch how Creeds died. I assume he was coming down Big Tower stairs. And the fact that he goes down so early on in the execute, the rest of his team was still getting set up. And it was a bit like, okay, now we've got 3 coming up against the rest. Like, this is what I was here. Wow, okay, fair enough. I did not realize Kino has marched upstairs there and got himself a freebie. Again, realizing the space that he's got to play in there. They were under no threat from bunker. No one was going to drop through electric anytime soon. So he had the ability to just walk up and take the fight to Creeds. A good bit of play, and I think really kind of like heads up by M80. Even the last kill coming through, a lot of teams would sit back and hunker down and wait for that last player to come pushing in to secure the round. But you got Citizen vaulting over wall, for example, to go after him. Spoit upstairs being aggressive. M80 have turned up here ready to plate him. They're not going to let ITB have any of this map for free.
No, absolutely not. Certainly taking the fight to them in round 1. I think we'll probably see a little bit more of that here, because confidence, of course, is going to be buoyed by that. And ITB, I mean, ITB aren't going to be heartbroken. You've lost basement. It doesn't really, you know, you expect to lose basement, really, when you're on the attack. Not the end of the world. This is going to be an important round for them, though. I know it's only round 2, but they're going to want to get a win. They're going to want to get a round on the board quite quickly. And they'll see Dorms as a potential opportunity, but it's also a message. You're not reliant on winning that third choice shot. Oh, that third choice site, but Citizen just turns away at the wrong moment. We've all been there, and just misses his opportunity.
Siege timing moment. It was funny when we were try-casting with Doki yesterday. He was sat here, because obviously when he plays, you don't get to see the outlines on the other side. That'd be cheating. But he was standing here like, oh my God, I didn't realize how close players are sometimes. I'm like, yeah, we see this all the time. We're just like, man, if only he knew he was 2 or 3 pixels away from finding a freebie. It's one of those classic siege timing moments, as you say. Getting themselves at least set up here on the big window to start applying some pressure across, and more about that information collection more than anything else. So far doing pretty good on the drone count, it's worth touching on as well. Only 2 down in the round and 7 out across the field.
ITB now know that there's no direct work that they can do from double window, and by that I mean going in and trying to put the diffuser down, because they know it's being heavily watched from both sides. They have to deal with Cameraman, and they have to deal with the player inside of Kids Dorms. If they don't, they're not going to go anywhere. Noodle manages to pick up Noah, but Azza is there with one of his own. However, again, it's all going M80's way, Des. They are so comfortable on this site, on this map. They are decimating ITB right now.
They've really let Spoit through the net there as well. The fact that he stepped out into Cubby and got 2 kills, one towards Bedroom and one towards the trophy player, really was the deciding part of that round, and also closes things out with the final kill onto Window. Dare I say it, yes, it's been a great performance overall by M80, but Spoit is controlling this game. Round 1, drawing 4 players on towards him, drawing utility in, wasting a lot of time, getting rid of the Flores, and in this round, a 3K, while moving maybe 3 steps total. Real big couple of rounds from him, and M80, as mentioned, in full control.
Yeah, they're looking great.
Look at that. How did he get away with being here? You should not be able to be in that spot.
they've set themselves up perfectly for the third choice site as well now. Not just 2 wins so far, but 2 very comfortable wins, getting themselves now into that third choice. ITB on the back foot a little bit at the minute and definitely got some work to do. So it's going to be kitchen and dining that they're going to go for. We see a relatively even split between these third choice sites. Meeting, I think, I would say, has had a slight favour recently, but they are going to decide to go over this way. So what is ITB going to need to do? What's going to be important here? What are the win conditions? For me, ITB really need to make sure that they're taking top floor, need to make sure that they've got that area in Kidstorm's locked down so that they're not suffering for any verticals. If the hatch is opened and it's been left soft at the minute, there is a long angle in towards that plant spot that you can find, but Noodle is actually going to reinforce that off. But again, it just says that they are concerned about that top floor. They don't want that hatch using against them.
I think if this round crumbles here, we see attack timeout coming from Kangaroo Kenny. Yesterday, he called it after just a couple of rounds. If you recall, against SSG, they were being hammered and also then lost the third round. But from that point on, went on to win 7 of the next 8 rounds. It's 7-1 if you ignore those first 3 rounds on Consulate. And here, this round, I'm not going to say it reeks of desperation, but they're really looking to try something a little bit cheesy here. They want to catch M80 out, leaning in towards the directness of the blitz, leaning in towards the glass, for example, and with 4 smokes on side, you can see the win condition.
Now that that hatch was reinforced, I think really ITB can look at this and say we don't actually need top floor control here. They can play quite a shallow game, really. Get themselves into small tower, get the wall open into dining, and look to get a plant inside of there. They basically just need to clear out these players from around showers, Spoit in particular. Get him gone, and there's the potential for that diffuser going down. They need to deal with the mirror window, but they have smokes in hand, so they can just smoke that mirror window off, and then they're not going to be able to use that to deny the plant because you just hold it with the glass and it's job done. So they don't really need to take too much here, ITB, and to be honest, with the way the gunfights have gone so far, I feel like that kind of leans into their wheelhouse and what they need at the minute.
I feel like they've got all the tools they need. Even the Thatcher on side for a bit of added security. It will help them deal with the Warden, for example. It'll help them deal with the Kite Electro Claws. They have got the right tools for the job, but as we've seen in the last couple of rounds, the tools haven't really been the issue. It's been the players, it's been Spoit that's been having a little bit of a field day so far. So that for me is going to be the big one to address. Like, they're getting themselves set up for what could be a plant, and then Noah gets absolutely beamed. And as I said, Tim, he was there, win condition, 4 smokes with a glass. That's dream territory, but Citizen is tearing them apart one by one. Not even any hint of a trade coming back the other way.
Yeah, it's just fantastic use of the Warden there, taking down from behind that mirror window. Didn't even need the gadget. Yeah, they haven't had to come in. They haven't had the opportunity to use any of those smoke splashes or anything else. Just really good stuff from M80 once again as the kills come in. Creeds manages to pick up Spoit, but almost certainly too little too late. It leaves Oscar in a 1 versus 3, pushing in towards a difficult site. He's surrounded here. He's going to be pushed from bottom right as well, but they don't need it as Noodle manages to pick up that final kill. And M80 at the minute, they have hit cruise control, Des, and they are just speeding through Oregon.
They're making this look easy. Again, I've really got to see attack timeout coming here from Kangaroo Kenny, because even the team play is falling apart here. Yeah. We've lost 2 players. The blitz is pushing forward, and only then does Creeds call in the first EE1D of the round. And I was like, man, this needed to be coming out 10 seconds ago. Like, what's happening?
Well, the problem is they never really did anything about the mirror window either. It's like I said, they could smoke it off. And I understand there's a Warden on the other side, don't get me wrong, but a Warden versus a Glass is still going to have a reasonable opportunity.
And the problem is the Glass is the one that dies at range.
Exactly, that's the point.
This kill, the length of the map.
Exactly, and before they've even had an opportunity to do anything about that mirror window, Citizens smash the Glass, and that's it. How do you attack from that point forward?
And in 2 of their fights there as well, like M80 is stacking up 2v1 in a couple of situations there. Creeds was kind of the only real X factor, right? He got 2 kills, but as soon as he gets the second, there's a trade coming in from security behind him, and he knew that spin was going to come, but he was powerless to stop it. So even with him potentially opening up a 3-kill gap, the team never really felt close. And again, I did think we'd see attack timeout there. I just worry that this game is now really going to run away from ITB in this first half. Even if you take attack timeout after this round, you're still down 4-0. You've really got to win the next 2 rounds on what many would look at as the offsites to get anything done. But they've just lost one of those offsites, Tim, so maybe you get round 6, but this is looking rough. Back down to the basement we go, and I look back at round 1, Spoit being the disruptor up on the top floor. Downstairs was never, ever a problem for the side of M80. In fact, they were so aggressive. Kino again charging up big tower stairs. I just think you've got to see something really different coming out from ITB and from their lineup. They've dropped away the Ying, they've got the Finker on side instead. That's not enough of a change in my books, Tim. And they've only got hard breaches. They've got 2. Okay, so you can't get all 3 hatches here.
Cameraman just opening up that angle as we saw, ready for a Nitro to potentially go out into bunker if the opportunity presents. Right now, I feel like ITB need a really strong start to a round. They need somebody like Azza, like Creeds, to just come in and grab a couple on the entry,
Big time.
create some space, and just really let M80 know that they've got a game in front of them, because right now, it must be feeling pretty easy for them. They haven't had to do anything too wild. You know, they've got a great start in every one of these 3 rounds so far. This time, maybe not quite as much. They're being forced back slowly, but as we can see, M80, one inside a meeting. I want to see if ITB are aware of it. Citizen could be a real issue here.
I've just checked, a meeting hatch has actually been left open so they can play out on the roam here and play aggressive, and that's why you've got Citizen sat inside a meeting, because he knows that when his time's up, he can leg it. Fair enough, they've got the reading in there, and Az has found his man, almost lost his life for it. An immediate response, you just know full well there's a good chance someone's going to swing onto you there, given every single gunfight that M80 haven't had a roamer on the go. It's been a 2v1. There has been an immediate response.
I like the positioning of Citizen there. He had the mute jammer at his feet, everything that he needed to try and sort of stay off the radar, but it speaks to ITB's good use of the drones. They've obviously spotted him from elsewhere. They couldn't go in directly. And going in directly, though, he's going to manage to find cameraman. That's a little bit easy. M80 have just let that slip through the net. He's wandered into elbow and found him a kill, but they're completely unaware of Spoit under the stairs.
He'll win.
Comes out like a monster from under the bed, let alone the stairs there. Des causes him a nightmare. Finds a couple, and M80, although it was looking a little bit shaky, managed to lock it down still.
That round was just full of surprises for them. You had, as we saw, Spoit ratting his way out in Harry Potter. You had Citizen tucked in against one of the meeting rules every single time. There's just something different for them to deal with. And unless they are being meticulous down to the very letter of the word, ITB are going to pay the price at some point. Also, full credit to Noodle as well, the way that he moves his way up highway there to join in that fight with Spoit, so he's not alone. Again, immediate team play, always a couple of seconds away from each other. M80 playing like a real tight pack right now. And I think in their excitement, as you can see, Kino has spilt water on his mouse pad. What a genius. We had this happen yesterday.
We did have this happen. I was just going to say, we have had this happen already. We have had a water spillage.
Hashtag Watergate.
He's also then just knocked the... a little extender for his mouse as well. That's gone off the back of the desk now, so we'll get that cleaned up and we'll get back in as soon as we can do, as soon as he's set up and ready to go. But what a start for M80, 4-0 at the minute, and like I said, you know, I used the word cruise control previously, a nightmare in that last round, and that's what things are really turning into for ITB at the minute.
It is. A little brief reprieve, though. I guess, as we always say during these tech pauses, you can't talk to your teammates about the game. In this case, it's more a, clean that water up, man. We've got a game to win. But on the other side, it gives ITB that little bit of time to sort of sit and stew with their own thoughts, because being Frankton, they haven't really arrived at this game. This is the closest they got, admittedly. You know, they got down to a relatively close point, but Noodle, again, full credit to him. Really good to go up and join Spoit there in that aggression around Pillar. But the fact that that's where the final round-ending fight takes place, Pillar and not the site itself, already shows there are problems.
Well, the thing was, obviously, I credited ITB's drone use to find Citizen and to be aware of him, given that he was stood on a mute jammer and everything else. They'd obviously droned him from the other side of meeting and picked up on him. But they also had lost a lot of drones, and it really showed in that late round there, because they just weren't able to spot Spoit, to know that he was there. They just had to go for it, and they were punished for it big time.
Yeah. The thing is, I can't fault Kenny here. Like, again, the tactical timeout I really thought should have come after round 2, because they were just getting battered there. Like, maybe they wanted to give it a couple more to see how things went, but that last round was just as messy as the first. Sure, closer, but still just as messy. And there's a reason, no doubt, why he's held on to this point in the game. Again, personally would have gone at least a little bit sooner, but I'm not a coach. What do I know? Those who can't play coach, and those who can't coach cast, and that's why I'm stood here.
6-1 for Noodle so far. We keep shouting about Spoit, but Noodle's putting up some big numbers.
Kino's 4-1. Like, they're laughing, mate, honestly.
I
always look across the kills on the other side to really get a feel for this. And again, we're currently set at, 8 kills across the entirety of ITB. That's 2 kills per round.
Yep.
That goes to show you just how not close this game has been so far.
Yep. I really thought that ITB had a good opportunity there as well. We saw Kenny able to just sort of wander his way into elbow, managed to pick up a freebie, and it was like M80 had took their eye off the ball a little bit, but I don't know if maybe that was just a bit of bait. Just try and draw them in so that Spoit and Noodle could do exactly what they did. Round 5 then, M80 are going to head up to the top floor. Team is currently 1-1 in the record for both of these. We are in the Swiss stage, of course, so everybody playing against each other will have the same win-loss record. This is one of the final 1-1 teams, so after this point, it's going to be best of threes for these two, but it's going to be best of threes. Sort of two sides of the same coin, but very different sides. One to go through, one to go out. You know, it's very, very different, the perspective that you're going to be looking at those best of threes.
I also kind of want to draw on some of the experience these players have got. Let's not forget for ITB, the only player that's been to a major before is Kendrew, or Kenny, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. For the rest, it's their first time. And Coach Kangaroo Kenny, too many Kennys on his team, two's enough already. But Kangaroo was speaking of him saying, oh, I absolutely love LAN. Like, for the boys, it's been a great experience as well. Like, yeah, they're learning and taking a lot from it, but on the other side, you've got players. Yeah, look at most of those players in M80. They've been to so many events, like, you'd be running out of fingers to count it across the entire team. And even here, again, the aggression being shown. In what other game would you see a Warden playing in Zulu, challenging for the entry? You simply wouldn't, but they are absolutely deleting them at every turn.
I was just going to pick up on that entry as well, Des. We know that Citizen is one of those players, you know, immense talent and ability, and you can see his game change a little bit sometimes when he starts feeling confident. It used to be, and I'm talking, you know, 2 years ago, it used to be when he picked the alibi, you knew that you were in trouble because he was starting to really feel himself and get out on the rope. And I just get them same vibes. He's on the ward and he's out there looking for the entry, and it just feels like, you know, he's starting to think he's unstoppable, and that's a dangerous place to be against a player like Citizen, because he will really, really hurt you.
And the problem is he's not the only player playing like that today. Everyone is.
There you go. Thank you.
Like, you didn't even
hit
it.
Citizen. Perfect. Just a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You know he's there. You're going down pre-aiming. You're going to pre-fire around the corner. He's still going to kill you.
And you're not even going to hit him.
Because that's just how Citizen is feeling today.
Well, it's attack timeout into a flawless round for M80. Ouch. Now, I'm always a big proponent, as you know, Tim, of there are two halves to a game of Siege, that things can transform drastically. This would be one of the bigger turnarounds I think I would ever see.
Have to be very drastic at this point.
I mean, we had the let's not forget, we cast PSG Talon versus E1 yesterday, and it was 5 rounds in a row to Talon. They absolutely slapped E1 about, and it was like, this game is done. E1 claw back the 6th round. It goes 5-1. They then win 5 rounds themselves to send us through right towards the end of the game. It is possible, and I know it sounds crazy to say it, but we've seen comebacks that are pretty mental. I just feel like this one, when shots are being hit like they are today, it's more than just like a side diff or a whatever. It's honestly coming down to gun skill diff in this game. I think Ben's back.
I think that kind of demonstrates my point a little bit about Ben's mentality today. He's just feeling it. You can see it. I can see it from his play. You know, you and I have been casting and watching Citizen. I don't want to keep banging on about it, but you and I have been casting and watching Citizen for years and years now, as well as a lot of these players. And you do get to recognise those signs within their game. You can see, and I don't know what it is, but I'm sure, you know, it's very subtle signs, maybe about movement, about positioning, about fights that they're taking, shots that they're hitting. But the more that you watch these players, the more time that you see them inside of the server, you do just get those feelings. You look at it and you think, yeah, he's really feeling this today. He's really looking sharp. And the last couple of rounds Citizen has done, and he's an absolute menace at the minute. And it's something that ITB, I was going to say, you know, you need to try and focus on it and deal with it. If you see a Valkyrie on the board, there's a good chance it's going to be Citizen. You know, it's maybe something that you just need to focus on. Right, where's that Valk playing? Let's go in numbers and just make sure that we're shutting her down.
And here we go. Oh, come on, surely Kino was able to find a freebie there, but not quite. Gonna get one anyway as Kenny comes flying.
He can't get two.
Surely
he cannot get two.
Should not be able to get away with this, but maybe I'll do a flash, comes on down, and he gets the second. This is criminal. Finally gets traded out, but Kino has done so much damage there already. The hard breach is gone. The Lion is gone. They're already screwed, Tim.
Exactly. They're already up against a massive task now, and that is...
Like, meeting wall stays closed. What can they do?
I'm sorry, ITB. I'm sure that I think they'd probably say the same. You know, losing 2 from top floor there is unforgivable. The fact that you don't know that Kino's there to begin with, he picks up the first and then is able to get the second. It just can't happen. I know that they get the trade as he goes to leave, but it just doesn't matter. He's a Malusi. His gadgets are already down. He's pretty much absolutely no loss for it. It's really not the end of the world, so Kino doing some great work there. Noah just going to be looking to put a little bit of pressure on towards that top floor, continue trying to get sort of any sort of control here, get into attic, get into top armory, going to be joined by Creeds. But in a 3 versus 4 with the utility that they've lost, this is just going to be extremely difficult from here.
It is. I mean, we've seen teams manage to smash and grab rounds, but I said about, you know, the case yesterday, V1 versus PSG Talon, that massive turnaround in round 6 that led to a flurry of rounds going their way in the second half. It gave them that little bit of a lifeline, but without the hard breach on side, I'm not too sure they're going to find themselves getting it here. They've got no calls left. They've got a couple of smokes to play with. Yes, they've got the Ossa shields, but even Oscar's taking a massive risk. And Creed's had to know he's getting aggressive at the back of that one, but wasn't even ADS in. And Spoit takes his life for free. It's going from bad to worse in this half. Not even going to find themselves one more. Oscar with it all to do. Flank from the right, hit from the left. M80 with a 6-0 flawless half.
The thing is, we've spoken a lot about the individuals as well, but M80 are playing really well as a team here. You know, Citizens had his moments, Spoit's had big moments, Noodle's putting up big numbers. Kino was a great start there, but they're playing well as a team as well.
I've got a little call in here to get some thoughts on this half. Let's go to it.
How's it going, Des and Ace? Listen, this has been a rough one from ITB so far, and we talked a little bit about the King of England competition between Creeds and Citizen, and undoubtedly, Citizen's been so much better through this game so far. But when you actually look at the head-to-head between these two players, the one kill that's happened has actually been with Creed's killing Citizen. So for the second half, I really want to see Creed step it up. He's only got 2 kills so far in this game. One of them was on Citizen. If he can shut down these top players on M80 now, that's going to be their key to get back to this game. But undoubtedly, guys, so far, looks like Citizen might be the king.
You may well be, and Jesse, you're also aware, I'm sure, that I have got Creeds in your fantasy team, or in my fantasy team in your fantasy league, and I'm currently lamenting that choice. It's not the best day, because they only played 1 game today as well, so I'm just like, no.
Never mind, Des.
That 300-point gap that I've got at the top that widened so much yesterday is now collapsing in front of my very eyes.
Really knew in.
Oh, yeah.
Really knew in.
Mate, you want to watch out. You've got like 3 players coming up behind you on like 30 points below, I think.
Don't worry about that. You never look in the rear view mirror, Des. Going to be round 7 then.
I won't, mate. You're in my dirt trail.
This is the big opportunity now, you know, for M80. Just get this closed out here and now on the first attack. ITB, they've got to get something going. But honestly, I just feel like these players are going to be so difficult to stop. And like I said, there's so many names there that you can pick up. Just look across the kills on your list. You know, even Cameraman on 3 kills, you look at it, it's because he's been sat in sight as the support player, as the IGL, because that's what he does. And he doesn't need to get into the fights. And it's good to see Creeds getting up to the boundaries there, just looking to pressure that blitz and prevent him going in for free at least. But Kino does manage to get inside of the building. Spoit as well, just looking for that clearance through Kitchen.
Like one of those, I'm looking at the comp and just thinking, well, we saw a similar thing out of ITB, and they didn't really put it to the best use, admittedly. Obviously, they lost the round, that's why they're down 6-0. And I think M80 might just be about to show ITB how you run this kind of setup on this map. And speaking of the map, when we came back to it early, we said, you know, this is an 8th prep map for ITB. They don't really play it. The only time they have so far this calendar year has been against G2. It was a decider map in a best of 3. I honestly thought they might be cooking something, but so far, it's looking pretty raw to me.
Spoit's just going to go in and be pinging out that utility. I imagine they will want to get the freezer hatch open just so they can be sure that nobody can aggress forward. Although saying that, Spoit is just going to move in. He can take that ground instead, and then they don't really need to worry too much about the hatch necessarily. He will shoot it out as he goes though, and then they can at least tick the box. Due diligence done, and you see the hatch opening up.
So set up there, like you say, no rush, I think, on their side. They're like, as far as everything's opened up, as long as we've got ourselves in position, we'll save the gunfights until later in the round. And I guess you look at the contrast of how both teams have defended this site. All 5 players from ITB down in the basement, being very passive, not trying to swing into angles. But look at the reverse. Citizen, Spoit, Noodle, they were swinging everything. They were happy to take gunfights. And I think a little bit of that like nervousness of that beatdown from the first half has just got IT being a little bit passive here. And to be fair, yesterday they did have a really good time playing defensive against SSG. But now the push comes on through. They're going to have to swing and make something happen. Creeds comes out and finds one. But can they get rid of Kino as well? Nothing so far coming through, but the one-on-one back and forth, it's more about getting control of Highway. And Kino's desperately trying to make something happen, but so far, wide screens.
Yeah, Creeds manages to pick up Noodle as well. Need him getting more kills, but they can't stop Kino. He went in and got Kenny, manages to find himself another onto Creeps as well. 3v3, Diffuser going down. I'm not sure how much ITB can do about this because M80 are set in position. They've got the smokes, they've got the utility, they've got the Diffuser down. It's now a 2v2, and this is the moment that ITB have to fight back, have to do something. But Citizen proving that he is the king on Oregon, managing to get another and helping to lock this out. Oscar, he's got such a big job. He manages to take down Citizen though. There's 1v1 in about 13 seconds, but no! Cameraman is there, quiet through the game, only out of necessity because everybody else has been getting the kills, but he gets the most important one to close out that 7-0. What a performance from M80.
And for ITB, welcome to international events. That is a bruising 7-0 loss. Take nothing away from M80, Tim. They've had a couple of close games yesterday, but here they really made sure that everyone knows what level they're here to deliver at. And with that kind of performance, I think going into their best of 3 promotion games tomorrow, wouldn't want to be playing up against them, to be honest.
M80 look terrifying, to be honest, and I think there is an element that ITB maybe didn't show up and show us their best. They were much better against SSG, for example, of course, but overall, M80, they looked great.
They don't look too pleased about that one, do they, on the side of ITB?
No,
a lot of hung heads, a lot of sad faces.
They won't be.
Somewhat expected. However, we've got Noodle stood by for an interview, so let's throw over to him now. Oh, not ready yet. Staying with us for now.
Why not?
I hear the name, I'm just like, he's ready, let's go. I mean, we've had Noodle on interviews a few times before as well, so I'm curious to hear what he's got to say. But no doubt there's also, on this side of ITB, like I said, a lot of work to go away and do. I'm sure we'll see some of the players, maybe even Kangaroo Kenny on Twitter later, talking about what they've got to say about that. But for now, let's go over to the winners, Noodle, with the interview for real this time.
Yeah, Noodle is ready for the interview. He's got his shoes back on. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Congratulations on a 7-0 first map of the day. How are you feeling? Because you had a phenomenal performance yourself.
Yeah, it was a good team win. We bounced back after yesterday's loss, and yeah, it was kind of just, we're playing against our friend Oscar, so we obviously wanted to win, and we did it in style, so yeah.
Great style indeed. You're talking about yesterday, particularly in that loss, maybe not hitting a couple of marks. What do you think went wrong yesterday in that regards?
I think our defenses just went up to scratch. Like, yeah, we were just kind of throwing a couple man advantages. We weren't doing the mini plays that we wanted to do. So yeah, it was, you know, we just fixed the mistakes, and yeah, it was, well, 6 defenses won in a row. So I guess it worked.
You're now 2-1. You're so close to that main stage as well. Is that the goal for you this time around?
Yeah, definitely. I want to be back on the main stage, like in Atlanta. It would be nice to be on the crowd, in front of the crowd at home as well. So.
Thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate it. And good luck with your future games. We're going to be heading over to a break, and we'll be back with the longer interview. So make sure that you stick around. Welcome back, everyone, to the Blast R6 Manchester Major. I'm Jeannie with Jesse, and we have Kino joining us for the interview. I really do appreciate it. Congratulations on a 7-0 victory. That was quick.
That was fast. I did not expect that, to be honest. But it was a fun match. We scrimmed those guys a lot. Probably the team we scrimmed the most out of in the boot camp. So we kind of like knew what they were gonna do. They knew what we were gonna do. It was, I guess we just played better today.
Kino, I mean, we're used to seeing you have some quick Oregon games. I believe the last time you played it in a match was against Beast Coast earlier in the NAL. That game was quick, maybe the wrong way. That was a tough one for you guys. What was the biggest difference between the last time you played Oregon versus this time? Because just looking at the history, I was a little concerned before you guys actually showed up today.
Well, that was our first time playing Oregon as a team. We also played against Gaveni. That guy's an absolute beast. Top floor, we couldn't clear that guy. He had nothing, just roaming top floor, couldn't clear him. And I think today we played as a team. We played as a unit, and it showed.
Right at the start of the game, they banned out your Monty. And I think your Monty's been very good this season, actually. You've had some great moments on it. Did that change the game plan at all for you? Was that something that maybe you wanted to bring out? Did that cause you any problems? I know you only had one attacking round, but...
I think, honestly, they were trying to help me out because they probably watched my game yesterday against Team Bliss, and they were like, yeah, like, it's better if he doesn't play Monty, you know, after that match. So they just helped me out and banned it so I can't play it.
Is that the only thing that changed? Because yesterday, I mean, it was a rough game for you. I think about 0.4, 0.5 KDR for you. You bounced back today. You put up a ton of numbers. Was it just the Monty that changed, or was there anything else going on today that made it a little bit easier for you?
There's a lot of factors, to be honest. Today we played better as a team, yes, but like my operators and my roles on this map it's like way more on, like in my comfort zone. On bank, I'm playing server stairs every round. I'm playing Monty. I'm playing like some crazy roles, and it doesn't really show it on the kills. I did have a really bad game, to be honest, though. But
you bounce back. That's what matters, right? It's Swiss. You've got a couple lives to work through it. One more question from me, obviously up against ITB. Was there any extra thought into the game plan, specifically against these guys, to play a little bit more aggressive, to get in their face a little bit more? Because it really felt like you weren't giving them any chance to breathe in this game.
Yeah, on the first round on the basement, we gave him the Gavini treatment. No, we told Spoit to just go upstairs and do his thing. He even deafened on Discord or T-Speak. We tried talking to him, and he was just not responding. We're like, yeah, okay, he's just doing his thing, and got a kill, won us around.
I want to talk particularly more about the expectations, because that's something you mentioned quite early on in the interview, being coming into today, the expectation wasn't a 7-0. What were your expectations for Phase 2 particularly, and moving forward, how far do you think you guys can push it? Because you've been doing really well internationally.
Well, last year we had a lot of expectations from the fans and from ourselves. This year, I have no expectations. I'm just playing the game. I'm just going game by game, to be honest, because like I feel like that's one of the reasons why we ended up having so much pressure on ourselves last year. So now I'm just playing the game. You know, if we go 0-3, if we go 3-0, if we win the whole thing, for me, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm just playing game by game, to be honest.
How do you switch that mindset then from going to having expectations and wanting to reach something to going, actually, we're just going to take it game by game? Because that's the complete polar opposite.
I think having a bad year and probably getting benched, it completely changed how I play and how like I'm thinking about like tournaments, stuff like this. So yeah, I feel like that was it, getting benched.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're back, right? You had a great game. You had a 2-1 at the moment. So thank you so much for the interview. We do appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you around for more.
See you guys soon.
With M80 coming out on top, they are now sitting very pretty at 2-1 so far in Phase 2 of the tournament. That's a great score for them. However, we're looking at ITB, and they just suffered another loss. And this is not just another loss. This is a getting kicked while you're down kind of loss because it was a 7-0.
I mean, I just want to say, shout out to that NA bias.
Yes, sir.
The 7-0, I mean, I don't want to take anything away
Where are the EU casters at?
I don't want to take anything away from M80 here. They played a beautiful game of Siege, and sometimes, realistically, the other team just plays a great game of Siege, and there's literally nothing you can do, and that's literally what this looked like.
Yeah. I really felt the confidence coming through from M80. I mean, Kino talked a little bit about the kind of the mental coming in for this game. Felt like ITB, sometimes they had intel, sometimes they didn't, but regardless, they would take these gunfights and just never seem to be really fighting back on a lot of them. Either they're missing their shots or they're just not looking at the guy who's shooting them back. It really was frustrating in a couple of rounds for ITB because it just felt like they didn't have everything in a row. They didn't have the greatest idea of what they wanted to go for before they went for some of those gunfights. And M80, they're gonna punish that. They are a top team. They're gonna show up and be able to put that into the dirt. So great game from M80 and great game from Citizen, the new king of England.
Yeah, also for those of you watching at home and if you for whatever reason didn't actually manage to tune into this game, that is not an error in the graphic. It genuinely was a 7-0, and you're looking on that leaderboard, particularly for the players from the side of ITB. And Lex, it felt like none of them had the opportunity to go for anything.
Listen, when you get 7-0'd, it doesn't matter who you are on the team. You're the top performer, you're the worst performer. Losing a 7-0, that is a team problem. That is a team loss. So in some regards, it's not, obviously it's bad. Like losing 7-0 isn't great, but you can really come together collectively as a team and understand where those mistakes went wrong, and you can improve a lot faster on those mistakes going forward.
Yeah, but it's also looking at the players, particularly here, Jesse. When you are in that situation, what do you do?
I mean, I think the team's got to be able to rally, right? Sometimes you're going to have games where you start off and you're just not in sync. You're not winning those fights. You're not together, whatever it may be. You need to be able to slow things down, pause the game for a moment, and bring that back. And that's what we see from the best teams. That's what we saw from ITB yesterday. In that Space Station game I referenced in the pre-match, they went down 0-3. They were looking pretty rough defending on Consulate, and then they rallied, they came back. I think the big stars on this team obviously were not showing up today. We didn't see much out of Creeds. We didn't see much out of Oscar. That's going to be unfortunate. It's hard to win games when those star players aren't popping off, but as Gabe said, it is a team effort and the team didn't show up.
And with that, I mean, the undoubtable king of England, is that even a word? At this point, it's got to be Citizen because he'd had a phenomenal performance.
Yeah, we got the head-to-head here. I brought it up in the halftime show. Actually, Creeds won the head-to-head. Creeds only got 3 kills. One of them was on Citizen. Citizen got 8 kills. I don't believe a single one was against Creeds. But ultimately, the stats speak for themselves. It doesn't matter who's killing who. At the end of the day, Citizen pops up. He is the better player overall. And we talked about the operators a little bit too. Both these players, mained Dokkaebi and Azami, coming into this match. Azami gets banned out. They both move over to the Warden. Again, kind of showing that similarity between the two of them.
It just goes into the sheer confidence that M80 goes into. And I was talking to you about this. I mean, I think this game really speaks into, you know, experience versus inexperience. Sure, we were talking about Oregon. This could be best case scenarios for some of these teams because, again, you're not going to pull anything out of your hat that's going to surprise someone. It just does come down to experience. And M80 displayed that beautifully with a 7-0. And it is important, though, for ITB to get this experience because they are, you know, brand new up-and-coming players. To be making it here at LAN is already an experience in itself. You are going to be going against tougher teams, so it is important that, you know, maybe you do got to get beat up a couple times in order to improve. That's just all part of the process. So still a lot to take from this game. I don't write ITB out by any means. They obviously lose a lifeline, but they aren't out yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that as well, when we're looking at the players who have done phenomenal in this game, particularly, it will, of course, be the majority, if not all of them, M80 players, because at the end of the day, it was a absolute blowout.
Yeah, it had to be. Obviously, these 3 popping off fantastic plays. I like the stuff that we saw from Spoit on a lot of those defenses. We saw the highlight round where he's in the closet on Master Bedroom, able to hold down that top floor. Kino, I loved the blitz play coming through right at the end there, obviously making huge impact. We saw similar blitz plays coming through from Kendrew. That was on the kitchen dining bomb site, and that completely fell apart. Kino showing him how it's done. You can ban his Monty, but the man still gets 1 shield at least.
Listen, there's 3 shields that you can possibly bring in on attack, and he's going to find one of those. But, I mean, I want to highlight Kino here more specifically because coming into this, he didn't have a great showing in this phase 2 so far until this game. So it's good to see that bounce back from him. And again, you can't get rid of his Monty. He'll just bring blitz no matter what and put up that performance. But still, I want to see Kino continue this trend going into further games.
Yeah, and from the interviews as well that we've had with both Noodle and Kino after this game, it's more of a, we're taking it game by game. We're trying to play this more as a team. We're looking at it. We've learned from our mistakes. We are learning from the mistakes that we're making here as well. And it seems like they have that really solid foundation and they're building up on top of it. So as an NA fan, You should be hopeful.
We should, and I think we have been, because already with this new mindset, we've seen M80 double the amount of games they've been able to win at majors. Yeah, last year through 2 majors and SI, they won only a single match. Now they've won 2 already at the first major of the year, so they gotta be feeling good about that, and I'm sure taking it game by game is helping a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
positive spin on it.
I mean, it's the best case scenario, and I've said it, we've said it enough. Like, this is the iteration of the team that makes the most sense collectively as a unit in terms of roles and how they're going to play together. So again, I don't want to just completely write off M80 here and be like, you know, this is going to be the ultimate success, because they still have a lot to prove given their most recent performance throughout the last year. So M80, I still got to see a lot from you, but you're looking good so far.
They are looking good indeed, and we're going to be heading off to a break. We'll be back with the second BO1 of today. It's not going to be us. We're going to take a break ourselves, but we have our lovely and interested colleagues, Milash, as well as Leo and Fresh, who'll be walking you through that one, so make sure you stick around.